Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I've got some news that's been making waves in New Zealand, and honestly, it's one of those stories that makes you stop and think about how these things happen. Let me break it down for you. So there's this organization called ACC, which is the Accident Compensation Corporation. If you're not familiar, ACC is the government body that provides compensation and support for people who've been injured in accidents, whether it's at work, at home, or while traveling. It's a pretty essential service, and I think most people would agree that it's a cornerstone of New Zealand's social safety net. But here's the kicker. Recently, ACC found itself on the receiving end of a pretty significant fraud scheme, and it's raising some serious questions about how these systems can be exploited. 2023, over 10,000 applications were submitted through ACC's MyApp system. That's a lot of applications, right? And these weren't just random submissions. They were all part of a semi-organized, systematic fraud that involved a group of individuals submitting fake travel claims. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't just someone submitting a few fake claims here and there. This was a coordinated effort, and it's pretty shocking how it managed to go unnoticed for as long as it did. What exactly happened here? Well, let's talk numbers. Out of those 10,000 applications, 4,266 were approved, and ACC ended up paying out $652,087.57. But here's the thing. ACC discovered the fraud in mid-November, and they managed to stop $919,071.1796 in reimbursements before they were paid. So the total amount that was potentially at risk was over $1.5 million. That's a lot of money, and it's not something that should be taken lightly. It's not just about the money, though. This kind of fraud has real consequences for the people who genuinely need ACC support. It's unfair, and it undermines the entire system. Here's where it gets even more interesting. ACC identified 4 key individuals who were involved in the fraud: Jacqueline Wanga, Ashlia Tihira, Melody Habokea Kawero, and Mohammed Zahid Hussein. These are the people who orchestrated the scheme. And here's the kicker. They were sentenced to home detention for their roles in the scheme. Now, I want to be clear that home detention is not a light sentence. It's a serious consequence for what they did, and it shows that the legal system is taking this seriously. But Wanga was the most culpable, which means she played a bigger role in the scheme than the others. That's a pretty heavy sentence, and it's a reminder that when you commit fraud, especially on a system like ACC, there are real consequences. How did this fraud even happen? Let's break it down. The fraud involved fake travel addresses, fabricated reasons for travel, and shared bank accounts. That's right, these individuals were using fake addresses and making up reasons for why they were traveling, and they were even sharing bank accounts. That's not just clever, it's pretty insidious. It shows that this wasn't just a random group of people trying to get a quick buck. It was a semi-organized scheme that had some level of planning and coordination, and that's what makes it even more disturbing. I want to talk about the impact of this fraud. First and foremost, it's impacting the people who genuinely need ACC support. When a system like ACC is being used for fraud, it takes away from the resources that are supposed to be available for those who are actually injured or in need. That's not just unfair, it's a direct hit to the people who rely on these services. It's also affecting the trust that people have in the system. If you're someone who's been injured and needs help, and you see that the system is being abused by a few people, it can make you feel like the system isn't working for you. And that's a problem. That's a big deal. The MyACC app is how a lot of people interact with ACC. It's a digital platform that allows people to submit claims, track their applications, and get updates on their cases. If that app was shut down, it affected genuine clients' ability to process their applications. That's not just inconvenient, it's a disruption to people who rely on that system to get the support they need, and that's something that can't be ignored. What's ACC doing about this? Well, the organization is increasing its capacity to detect and investigate fraud due to the scale of the incident. That's a pretty straightforward response, but it's also a necessary one. The fact that this fraud was able to happen on such a large scale means that there are gaps in the system that need to be addressed. And it's not just about catching the people who are already committing fraud, it's about preventing it from happening in the first place. I want to take a moment to talk about what this means for the future. This is a wake-up call for ACC and for the people who use their services. It's a reminder that even the most trusted systems can be exploited if there's not enough oversight. It's also a reminder that people who are involved in these kinds of schemes are being held accountable. The fact that these individuals were sentenced to home detention shows that the legal system is taking this seriously. But it's also a reminder that there's more work to be done. There are still gaps in the system that need to be addressed, and there are still people who are trying to exploit it. What can we do about this? Well, first of all, we can support ACC in their efforts to detect and prevent fraud. That means being vigilant, reporting suspicious activity, and making sure that we are not falling for any of the scams that are out there. It also means being aware of the signs of fraud and knowing what to do if you think something is wrong. Because when it comes to something like this, early detection is key. The sooner we can catch these kinds of schemes, the less damage they can do. better security measures, and better oversight. This is a pretty shocking story. It's a reminder that even the most trusted systems can be exploited, and it's a wake-up call for ACC and for the people who use their services. It's also a reminder that when people commit fraud, they're being held accountable, but it's also a reminder that there's more work to be done. The fact that this fraud was able to happen on such a large scale means that there are still gaps in the system that need to be addressed, and it's up to all of us to make sure that these kinds of things don't happen again. What do you think about this story? Have you heard about this fraud before? Do you think the sentences given to the individuals involved were fair? And what do you think ACC should be doing to prevent this kind of thing from happening in the future? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe, because the more people who know about this, the better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.